everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we are making this adorable soft Hygge beanie hat. This hat is made using Hygge yarn. Big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing this yarn today. I'll actually get into the supplies. This yarn is so soft, so we'll get into the supplies we need, answer some frequently asked questions about sizing, and we'll get into making this super soft hat. So this yarn I'm using today is Red Heart Hygge yarn, and the color I'm actually in the hat that I have made here as my prototype, this color is called teal. But the color that I'm going to demonstrate with today is called aloe. So they're both kind of green-blue colors. You're going to need 2 skeins of the color at the same time. We're going to use 2 skeins of yarn at the same time. But we don't use the entire skein of yarn. So if you wanted to buy 1 ball of yarn and then kind of roll half of it into a ball and then use the rest of this skein, you could, the hat takes less than 1 skein of yarn. So you could just get 1 skein, or you can get 2 skeins and work from both of the balls. Totally up to you. The bow and some of the pom has a more yarn in it. I'm not sure if it's a moire or a more. I feel like I want to call it a more. So this color in this tutorial I'm going to demonstrate with is called chai. The color on the bow on the prototype that I have is called serene. You can use any color you want, but this yarn is almost like velvety. It's really, really soft. And you can see it's a little thinner. This yarn is a size 4 medium worsted weight yarn, but it's closer to almost a double knitting yarn. So there is a little bit of thinner, it's more on the thin side of yarn. So this is really nice too. But this Hygge yarn is actually, it's a nylon acrylic mix, and this is extremely soft, and this is actually a bulky size 5 yarn. It kind of reminds me of more of a fuzzier Soft Essentials, Red Heart Soft Essentials yarn. So really you can use any bulky yarn that you like for this project. So those are the 2 yarns I'm going to use. This hat, I'm going to be using this long crochet hook. It is dual-sided because we are going to be making the Tunisian stitch in this hat, and we are going to be working with both ends of our hook. I'm super excited to show you how to do this because this is something new that I've tried, and I can't wait to show all of you. So you're going to need one of these. You can get it by clicking the link in the description of this video for the extended long crochet hook, or you can get it at any craft store. You are going to need a regular crochet hook too, same size. So I'm using a size K hook, which is 6.5 millimeters for the long one and the regular one. Now this crochet hook is super fancy. It is from the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy on Etsy. You can get these hooks. Again, the link is in the description of this video to get this type of hook. It is hand carved and ergonomic, and it's easy to use when you're crocheting for a long period of time. So 2 different hooks in this project today. How exciting. You're also going to need a Pom Maker. We're making a pom up top here. I just cut 2 pieces of cardboard just in the same shape like this, and I'll show you how to make a pom using 2 pieces of cardboard like this. You can get regular pom makers online, but I just am super thrifty and crafty that I'm just going to make my own. And super cheap. Also, you're going to need a scissors and a yarn needle to cut your yarn and sew in some ends. So those are all the supplies. As for measurements, this hat will fit an adult size head, my head here, that's 24 centimeters long, or 9.5 inches long. Okay, the circumference around this piece stretches to be about 22 inches around, and the head, my head is about 21.5 inches, so it'll be just a little bit looser around my head, and it's very stretchy, as you can see. So this will measure about 22 inches around my head, and 22 inches in centimeters is 56 centimeters around. So that will fit an adult woman size head. Now this project is in the multiples of 6. okay? So you can do more on your foundation row. You can do more or less stitches to make it how you need to. I will also link in the pattern on YARNutopia.com. I'll link in the notes section a hat measurement guide, so you can find out the circumference and the height of a hat you want to make for different age groups. Okay, so if you want to make a baby hat, you would need less foundation on your foundation row, and then a shorter hat as well. So I'll show you that, or that's going to be in the notes section as well, and I can show you that later. So then this bow is separate, so we're going to make the bow and then sew it on, and then we're going to also make the pom and sew that on later. So those are all the supplies you're going to need. Like I said, big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for the yarn. Big thank you to my dad, Fuad Azmat, back there for filming, editing this tutorial, and posting it up on YouTube for us. And big thank you to you for watching. Make sure you check out all the links in the description of the video and hit that like button, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Let's get started and make this adorable, soft Hygge beanie hat. Alright, we are going to start off with our regular crochet hook, okay, not the long one yet, and we are going to start from the bottom on this round here that will fit around your forehead, around your head, and we're going to work our way up this hat, okay? So I'm going to set this aside, grab the regular crochet hook. This one is from the Etsy shop, would be fancy if you want a cool one like me. Anyways, we're going to start off with a slip knot. We're going to start off with the Hygge yarn. We're going to put the short end over the long end, and then fold that down, and then pull the long end through and pull tight. Okay, there's your slip knot. Insert your hook, and we can start. To start off, we are going to make a foundation single crochet in the multiple of 6. Okay, so I'm going to foundation single crochet 48 of these foundation single crochets. You can foundation single crochet however many that will fit around your head. So what we're going to do is chain 2, so yarn over, pull through 1 and 2. And we're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So the loop on the hook doesn't count as anything, so count 1 and 2. This chain right here, we're going to go in, then yarn over and pull through, and then we're going to actually yarn over and pull through one of those loops, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And that is our first foundation single crochet. You can see the stitch on the top right there. Okay, and these are going to be quite loose stitches because we are using a bigger hook, a size K hook. Now this next stitch is going to go at the bottom. Here, let me grab my needle real quick here so I can show you. So at the base of this stitch, we're going to go underneath right here. So you can see this loop right here, and then right behind it, there's another one. So this loop right here, and this loop right here. We're going to go underneath both of those right in there. Okay, so just insert your hook, then yarn over and pull through, then only yarn over and pull through one of the loops, and then yarn over and pull through both of the loops. And there's your second one. So you can see here's 1 and 2. Okay, again at the base of the stitch right here, there's this loop here, and then this loop right here. So we're going to go in through this side, right in there. Okay, so we're going to go in at the base of the stitch, yarn over and pull that through, then yarn over and pull through 1, and yarn over and pull through 2. And there's our third one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's going to become longer this way, just like that. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to do 48 of those. I'm not going to make you watch me do all 48. So once I do all 48 of those foundation single crochets, I will come back on screen and we will go on to the next step. Alright, so I have 48 foundation single crochets at this point, so this is what my work looks like. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pull up this loop here and remove this hook. We are done using this hook for the rest of this pattern. What we're going to do is introduce this hook, this long dual-sided crochet hook, and we are going to insert it into that. Okay, now without twisting this work here, we are going to straighten it out, and then we're going to fold it. Let me bring it around here and bring this first stitch back to the front. Okay, so just like this, and let's get this closer to the edge here, and we are going to work into these stitches. Now I'm going to work in the back loops of this work. Right here's back loop, okay, back loop, and back loop. You can work into both loops if you want, going in both loops like that. Okay, both loops, both loops, both loops, etc. I'm just going to work in the back loops though. So what we're going to do is work in a continuous spiral. So what we're going to do is go into this right here, into this first stitch here. Actually make sure that this is, make sure your working yarn is behind the piece. Okay, so it's like this, coming back around, make sure nothing's twisted, going in. Then what we're going to do is take our working yarn and yarn over and pull it through that stitch, just like that. Okay, kind of keep everything kind of not too snug and tight, but just tight enough. Okay, just like that. So you have 2 loops on your hook. What we're going to do is do as many as we can. So go on to the next stitch right here. I'm going to work in the back loop, yarn over and pull through. Okay, hold these on your hook, go on to the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. Okay, next stitch, yarn over and pull through. And don't do too tight, but also don't do too loose. Okay, you just want it just enough for your hook to fit through those loops. So go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. And just keep pulling up a loop. And there is a fly in our studio. So I hope it doesn't get in the video. But I'm just going to keep going on this round. Now, once you get to about halfway point here, so I'm just going to show you. I'm at halfway point here, so you can see these are all unworked stitches, but it's getting kind of scrunched up. So what I'm going to do is slide this down to the other side, and we're going to turn our work this way. Perfect. We're going to grab the other ball of yarn, okay, new yarn. You can use a different color too. I think that would be a cool different color transition in the middle of these stitches. That would be really cool. But you can use the same color as I'm doing. And what we're going to do with this one is yarn over, pull it through 2 loops on your hook. Okay, just like that. Then we're going to yarn over, okay, pull through 2 loops on your hook. Okay, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. I'm going really slow so you can see this method here. Yarn over, pull through 2, and just keep yarning over and pulling through 2 until there are 2 loops left on your hook. Okay, and you can see that this one way over here is kind of getting looser. It's your working yarn one, so you can kind of just pull this a little tighter. Just like that. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Now there's 2 loops left on the hook. We are going to turn our work back around and see the start of round 2 here. Now you can see where we started is right here. Okay, this is this loop right here. Just don't lose this loop right here. It's a vertical loop. It's a vertical line. Just don't lose that. Okay, but you can kind of pull your work a little tight. And then these 2 strands you can tie a knot in together. You can sew this in, and I'll show you that later. But what I'm going to do right now is continue my work. So pull this through, okay? Now we're going to drop this yarn that's attached to, I'm sorry, it's kind of confusing here. Okay, this yarn that's attached to this loop right here, I'm dropping it in the back, okay? That's the yarn we're going to be pulling that way when our work is turned around. So we're just going to leave that in the back there. Okay, this yarn is working off of this other ball of yarn, what we started off with, okay, and we're going to just continue now putting loops on our hook. So go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. Next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and just keep doing this until, again, you have as many as you need, as many as you can get on your hook without it getting too tight or too awkward feeling. I got like, I think I got like 20 on my hook before it was like really tight feeling the last time when I practiced. But once you have a lot on your hook, again, slide this all the way down to the other side, turn this, what is that, counterclockwise? Yep. And then you drop this yarn here, pick up this yarn that we threw in the back there, right here on this side, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And this is working the Tunisian stitch in the round. So that's why they make these dual-sided crochet hooks that are super long, is making the Tunisian stitch in the round. Very simple and very fun. Alright, so now again, I have 2 loops left on my hook. I'm going to pull this one down because it got kind of big here. Turn your work back clockwise. Okay, slide it to the other side right here. And now continue working with this yarn. So just go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. Oh my goodness, did you guys see the fly? I think the fly just somewhere in here, I don't know. Anyways. I think my dad's trying to find it back there. Anyways, I'm just going to continue here. I'm almost done with this round. It's so fast once you like learn the Tunisian and get it going. But after at the end of this round, we will put a stitch marker in here because you can see here. Oops. So this is the last stitch, and this is not a stitch. I don't know if you can see that, but this is not a stitch right here. This is just attaching everything on this side. Okay, and you can count if you have 48 or however many loops on your piece. Just know that that's not a stitch. Sorry, that's not a stitch right there. So anyway, I'm going to do the rest of these one last time, and then we can go on to round 3. So yarn over, pull through 2, and just keep yarning over and pulling through 2 until there are 2 loops left on your hook. It's that simple here. Oops. There we go. Okay, almost done. Now, going on to the next round, I'm going to turn this back clockwise. Okay, so you can see the work. And look at that, how fabulous. Oh, shoot. This is the back side. There we go. Wow. That was a little confusing. There we go. Okay, so this is our work so far. This is the front of our work right here. Okay, so now what we're going to do, like I said, this is not a stitch right here. If you need to count back 48, you can. We are going to work in these vertical lines. Okay, this vertical line right here. Okay, you can see this vertical line here, vertical line there. So these are vertical lines. We're going to work in each one of those. Those are each called a stitch. Okay, so we're going to go into this first one right here, and we're going to yarn over with our working yarn right here, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, just like that. Then go into the next vertical line right here, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay. And just like we were doing round 2 there, we are going to do this now for the rest of this pattern however high you need your hat to be. I'm going to do a total of 15 rows or 15 rounds here, and you can see that this is the beginning of our round right here. So I'm just going to keep this as a reminder of that's where the vertical line, the first of our round first stitches start. Okay, so that's where our first stitches start. So I will always just connect the line right here, and that will be the beginning of our round. You can put a stitch marker in there if you want to. Here I'm turning my work around and working the same concept, just sliding this down to the other side and yarn over, pull through 2 on repeat. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's going to get really annoying. So then turn the work back, slide it down to the other side, and continue. Now work on these vertical lines, and we're going to do that, like I said, for however many rows or rounds you want to do. We're working in continuous rounds, so it's not like we have to slip stitch and chain up anything for the next row. We're just going to be working in continuous rounds until this gains some length. Once it gains some length and you are happy with the height of your hat, I will meet you up. We will decrease on this piece, and I'll show you how far I have gotten. Just keep pulling up a loop like this, turning around, and doing that. Perfect. So like I said, I'm going to do 15 rounds of this, and I'll show you what I mean by rounds and what rows look like. So just give me 1 second to finish this part here. Right there. Okay, so let me turn this back around. So you can see here are the rows. So obviously row 1 is right here. Okay, but if you separate this, you can see this is row 2. Okay, this is row 3, because these little vertical lines right here are not fully connected to these ones. So you'll be able to see it in your work as well. So this is row 2 here, this is row 3, I'm going to do row 4 and through 15. Okay, however high I need this. And the size chart that I'm linking in the description of this video or in the notes section of my pattern on YARNutopia.com, it will show you the height of the hat for the size you're trying to make. I am making an adult woman size hat, so this will fit me, but you can make an infant hat, a small hat, or even a bigger hat for an adult man, because this is actually very versatile. You can just eliminate the bow, you can still have the pom on top, you don't have to have a pom on top. It can be very versatile. So I'm just going to finish the 15 rows here, just like this. See, I'm nearly back to the beginning already. Awesome. So I'm just going to finish, and I'll meet you up then. Just keep repeating this concept for however long you need to make it, and I'll meet you up when we're about to decrease. Alright, so I kept repeating that all the way around for 15 rounds total. So as you can see, this is what it looks like right now. If you stretch it, it looks like it fits my head. There we go. So this is row 1 down here. This is where our beginning is, and you can see this line right here is where our beginning starting line is. So you want to end your work, let me make sure, this line is our first line going all the way up, so you want to end right before that line. So yep, I ended on that last stitch right there. Okay, and as you can see here, there are 15 rows. So this first one is our single crochet row, and then I showed you how to get through row 2 here. So then row 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 is this one up here. So I did 15 rows. Let me grab my measurement here to show you. It's about 7 inches. So yeah, you want to be like 2 inches less than what your height of your hat will be. So my hat is about 9 inches in the end, and so it's 7 inches right now because we still have to do a decrease up here, which is going to create some length up here. Okay, it's going to be like this. So what we have to do next is decrease. So I have 48 stitches, so we are going to decrease down to 42 stitches. We are going to decrease by 6 stitches every row. Okay, so if you have more or less stitches, you can decrease by 6 stitches every row. And to get to 42 stitches, we have to go in, let's see here, 6 of these, and then we'll decrease. So it'll be 7 stitches, because 7 times 6 is 42. So what we're going to do, you have your 2 loops on here already. Okay, so we're back to the beginning. So we have 1 working yarn here and 1 working yarn here. Okay, so we just continued working that pattern up until the height that we need to get to. So now what we're going to do is decrease. Go into this next loop right here, yarn over, pull through. So there's 1. Go into the next one, yarn over, pull through. There's 2. You should have 4 loops on your hook here. Go into the next one. Here's 3. Next 4, 5, 6, and now our 7th one, we're going to go under both of these next 2. Okay, so go under 2 to decrease. So we're going to put 2 into 1 by yarning over and pulling through 1. Okay, so we basically did a decrease right there. We put these 2 into 1. Okay, and just do that all the way around, so that repeat. So 1, next one 2, next one 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 7th one here, we're going to go into the next 2. So next 2 vertical lines, turn that into 1. So yarn over, pull through both of those, just like that, and that's our 7th. Okay, now I'm at the point where I have a lot of stitches on my hook. I'm going to slide this down, turn it counterclockwise, and do the same thing we've been doing. Yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so same thing on this side. This side doesn't change. Just yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2 until you have 2 loops on the hook, and then we're just going to continue with our repeat. Now we only have to do that repeat up until the end of this round. Okay, so you have to do it 6 times in this round. Okay, so there's the decrease stitch. So next, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to go under 2 of these for our 7th stitch, just like that, and then just continue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, the 7th one has to be a decrease. So go under 2, yarn over, pull through both, decreasing those 2 into 1. And again, I have enough stitches on my thing. I'm going to turn this around and continue. Yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm going to do that for the rest of this round, and once I get back here, I'm going to go all the way around, and you can see my beginning of my round is right here. So once I get back to this point, I'm just going to repeat that little repeat there to decrease. We'll have 42 stitches around. Once I get back to here, then I'll meet you back up on screen and we will decrease again. Alright, so I just finished the decrease there, and you'll see that your very last stitch, you'll have your 2 loops on your hook starting the next round, and your very last stitch is a decrease. So you can see those 2 lines are going into 1. Okay, so going on to this will be round 17 now. So that was round 16. So round 17 we're going to decrease, and we're going to, instead of 7 stitches, we're going to do 6 stitches. We're going to change 42 stitches into 36 stitches. Okay, so we're decreasing by 6 stitches. So this 36 divided by 6 times would be 6. So we're going to do 6 stitches. I hope that makes sense, but just go into this next stitch right here, the vertical line, yarn over, pull through, there's 1. Next is 2, here's 3, here's 4, here's 5, and then the 6th one will be decreasing over these 2. And you can see it's the one right before the next decrease from the previous row. You can see this decrease right here is the decrease going from 2 into 1. We're going to decrease that one and then the one before it together. Okay, so Tunisian stitch these 2, whoopsie, I grabbed on an extra loop there, there we go, these 2 together. So that'll be our 6th one. Okay, so you should actually have 8 loops on your hook here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, going on to the next, we're going to just repeat that. So go into the next one, here's 1, yarn over, pull through, the next one is 2, next one here is 3, here's 4, 5, and then the 6th one will be this one and the very next one. Okay, go in both of those, then yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And there's your 6th one. So then again, just slide this down, turn it around, and grab your other yarn, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And just repeat that until you're only with 2 loops on your hook, and then just repeat that 6 stitches. Decrease. Okay, slide this back, turn it back around until you get to the beginning of the round again. So yarn over, pull through, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then decrease. So go under 2 of them, yarn over, pull through both, 6. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is both of these, yarn over, pull through both of those to decrease those 2 into 1. Then slide this down, turn it around, and grab your other working yarn, yarn over, pull through 2, and do that. And then just repeat that all the way around, and you should have 36 stitches. So then I'm going to do that, and then I'll meet you back up on the screen, and we'll go on to the next round and decrease again. Alright, I just finished that round. Now I have 36 stitches around here, so finishing round 17. Again, the last stitch will be your decrease there. Okay, you should have the 2 loops on your hook, and we can go on to round 18. So round 18, we are going to do 5 stitches. Okay, so we want to get down to 30 stitches around, so the top is closing a little bit here. So 30 divided by 6 is 5, so we want to do 5 stitches. I hope that's making sense. You can follow along with the written pattern for the decreases, but what we're going to do is just go underneath this loop, this next loop here, go in, yarn over, and pull through. So there's 1. Next is 2, here's 3, 4, and then the 5th one, we're going to go under 2 of the loops. Okay, these next 2 here. Go under both of them, yarn over, pull through both, and there's your 5th one. Okay, so you should have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And just repeat that around. So yarn over, pull through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, the 5th one is our decrease. So pull that out. Go under 2, 1 and 2, and then yarn over and pull through both of those to decrease. Okay, and then slide this down, turn it around, and do your yarn over, pull through 2s all the way until you have 2 loops on your hook, and just continue that. So 5 stitches in each grouping. So decrease around, you should have 30 stitches then, at the end of this round, or 30 of those vertical lines, I guess. So just do that, and then I'll meet you up. We'll decrease for the next round. Alright, just finished round 18 there, again ending with a decrease. This is the length it's at right now. The top is closing up there, and you can see that we've made it to the beginning because I never sewed in these ends. It kind of is my guide to see where the beginning is, because I just guide on this vertical line to make sure that it is right at the beginning there. Okay? So this is what it should look like. The top is closing down. We want to decrease again for round 19. We're going to go down to 24 stitches. So 24 divided by 6 is 4. So you can see we went from, 7, 6, 5. We're going 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is go in 4 stitches. So go into the next stitch here. There's 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th stitch is going to be under 2. It's going to be our decrease stitch. Okay, so yarn over, pull through both of those to decrease those two into 1, and then just repeat that all the way around. So the 4th stitch is the decrease. So 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th stitch is the decrease. So go under 2 of those, yarn over, pull through both. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th stitch is the decrease. And we have to do that whole sequence 6 times. So this is my 3rd repeat right here. I'm just going to turn this around so I can get the yarn over, pull through 2's done, and then do the other half of my hat and do the other half of the round. So I'm going to do that, and then once I go on to the next round, we're going to decrease even more. Alright, going right into round 20, we want 18 stitches. You can see this hole is getting really small now. So for the next round, around 20, 18 stitches, 18 divided by 6, we are going to do, it's 3. So just one less than the previous row here. So the 3rd stitch is going to be the decrease. So yarn over, pull up a loop on the next stitch, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then the 3rd stitch is our decrease. So we're going to go under 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both of those, and hook that on. And there's your repeat. Okay, so go into the next stitch, pull through, next stitch, pull through, and then decrease on these next 2 here. Okay, do that all the way around, and then I will meet you up for the next round. We'll decrease again. Okay, I just want to remind you that every round you're going to have just the 2 loops to go on to the next round. And your last stitch on these decrease rounds will be a decrease. Okay, so you can see this line and this line, both of those are into 1. Okay, so now the next round we are going down, round 21 is going to be going down to 12 stitches. So 12, I guess that's 6. So 12 divided by 6 is 2. So we are going to do every 2nd stitch is going to be a decrease. So just pull up a loop on the next stitch and then decrease on the next. Okay, so just pull up a loop on the next stitch and then decrease on the next. Just go under both of those vertical lines there and pull through. Okay, and do that all the way around. Now it's going to get pretty tight at the top here. So we're going to have to do this turning and yarning over and pulling through 2 more often because it's really tight on here. There we go. Sliding it back, turning it around, and next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then decrease on the next. We have to do that 6 times total for this round. So go into this next stitch and then decrease on the next. And decrease on the next means putting the next 2 into 1. Okay, and I just have, let me see here, yep, 1 more. So go into the next and then decrease on the last 2 stitches. So you should have 12 stitches around. I'm just going to finish this round. You could just continue watching because the next round we're just going to close the top. Okay. So decrease all the way around. So next two, yarn over, pull through. Next two, yarn over, pull through. Next two, yarn over, pull through. And then turn this around, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, and just keep doing that. Whoopsie. You gotta have your 2 loops on there. Sorry. Make sure that you have your 2 loops still on your hook, and then turn it back around. And I need just 3 more stitches to do, and then we can fasten this off. So 1, I'm just decreasing, 2, and these next 2 here. It's really tight on the top, and you can see that the hole is completely closed, or very close to being completely closed. Now when you're on the last stitches here, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we have these two loops. Usually we'd turn around and continue, but we only have these 2 loops, so we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, we're going to pull this tight, pull this tight. With this yarn that it's attached to, as you can see this is attached to this working yarn, we are going to chain 1. Okay, you can pull this up. We are going to cut both strands of yarn. Okay, cut both of them. Pull this one through that chain 1 to secure that. This one is still kind of loose a little bit. So what we're going to do is take these 2 strands, tie them in a knot. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to shove them into the center here to the inside of our hat. Okay, and if you want to, you can sew this hole. There's like a little bit of a hole right here. You can sew that closed, cinch it tight, and this would be a nice man's hat. I have to sew in these ends here, but this is a nice man's hat. Okay, perfect. So now what we want to do is grab our yarn needle. Actually, so these 2 strands down here, I am going to actually tie them just once, just like that. You can tie them once or twice, and we're just going to sew in these ends. So I'm just yarning my needle with one of the strands, going into the inside, and just going through a few of the stitches. Just like that. Okay, and then this strand, just yarn your needle, go up into the work, hide that end, make sure everything's tight and secure, and then cut any extra. Whoops. There we go. And then stretch that out, and you can see that there's like a little nick back here. You can see that this round started. That's the back of the hat. Okay, so you'll always know that that's the back of the hat. You can always like put a tag there or cover that up, sew that in, but you can barely notice, and there's no seams around the whole hat, which is really nice. So you can basically wear it whichever way you want. Okay, and you can be done at this point, but I do want to add a bow and a pom. So I'm going to grab my cardboard. Here it is. I'm gonna add a pom. So I have these 2 pieces of cardboard that we cut just like in this shape, and you want to have it cut down here so we can wrap this with yarn. So I'm going to use both colors. The color of my bow is going to be this yarn in chai, color chai. So I'm going to grab this yarn and also just 1 strand of the main color. Okay, so I'm going to mix these 2 colors because when we make the bow, it's going to be this color. Okay, so I'm going to mix these two colors in the pom. You can have your pom be a solid color, or multicolored, multi-textured, totally up to you. And what we're going to do, first untangle this yarn. I don't know what's happening here. Sorry guys. There we go, it's just a little twisted. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to set this hat aside. Alright, we are going to line this up, make sure it's open on this side. We're going to have our strand start at the top here, and we're going to wrap around the two pieces of cardboard. There we go. And once you have it just fully secure, I feel like I have to bend this just to get out of the way. There we go. Awesome. So I'm just wrapping, as you can see, these strands to be up on that side. Okay, and I'm going to make a pretty big pom. So as you can see, this cardboard is about 5 inches across, and then just a little circle in the middle. So I'm going to just keep wrapping until I get all the way around to this side over here. Okay, so I'm just going to do that, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. Alright, I'm done wrapping here. You want to end on the outside right here. Okay, and what we're going to do, this looks really cool. This is going to be a really cool looking pom. So what we're going to do, I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut right here these 2 strands of yarn. Okay, I'm going to set this down on the table. It's best to do this at a table. And we're going to cut a strand of our main color about, I would say, 8 to 10 inches. I'm going to do 12 inches just because I like to have a little safety net. And then what we're going to do is separate 2 of the cardboards and put this strand between the 2 cardboards. Okay, so, and then kind of pull about this much, 6 inches or so, just like that. Okay. And then keeping everything contained, I'm going to kind of keep my hand on the top here. We're going to separate the 2 cardboards and we are going to cut along the edge. But don't cut this strand of yarn. This is going to trail along with you to kind of keep everything contained. Okay, so I'm going to cut, and be careful with the scissors because you can hurt yourself. So kind of get a good angle here. That's probably not safe. Okay. I feel like I'm cutting the cardboard. Okay. Yeah, I was cutting the cardboard. So once you get past that, though, it'll be much easier. And then you can cut all the way around. Okay, and you can see I'm going to take this strand and kind of just trail it along while I'm twisting, because these will come up and some will want to leave you. So just make sure to try to keep it as much contained as you can. That's why it's easy to do it on a tabletop. And just keep trailing this along, and I'll just show you this whole thing in making this pom. There are other pom makers out there, like plastic ones that are probably really easy to use. I just never have found one that's this big, like this large. I like to make super large, obnoxious poms for my hats, and I've never seen a pom maker yet that is super large that I can get. So I just cut cardboard, and it's a little time consuming, but not bad. Also, when you're wrapping your yarn around the cardboard, you can do it any way you want. Like, I was doing it from this side around, but you could start on this side and work your way around. Just wrap the cardboard however you want. Almost done. Sweet. Okay. Once you have it done, grab your 2 strands of yarn. Okay, come back to the beginning. I'm going to come on this side here, just like this. And everything is still contained. I am crossing these over and pulling this up and tying a knot. Okay, but I'm going to tie a knot on this side once, pull it tight. Okay, you can see it in there, tight. Then I'm going to flip it to the other side and wrap this around to this side in here. Okay, and I'm going to tie it in a knot on this side as well. Still have the cardboard on it. Okay, but on this side I'm going to tie it in a knot once, kind of hold it there tight, and I know my hand's in the way, I'm going to tie it again on this side. So I tied it on the other side, flipped it, tied it in an actual knot, I'm doing a triple knot now on this side. Okay, then hold these 2 strands. These are going to be the strands that you're going to sew to your hat. Okay, so don't lose those. I'm going to remove this. Okay, so that's what it kind of looks like right now. We're going to flop it around. Okay, we're going to lose some fibers. Okay, cool. And we have a few longer pieces. This is kind of a little bit of a sloppier type of thing, but you can just give it a haircut. And just trim it how you want it in the circular form to be the type of pom that you want it to be. And once you give it a good enough haircut, I'm going to come back on screen and show you how to attach it to your hat. Alright, once you have cut this enough that you are comfortable with it, you could get all the scraps and just kind of slide them on the side. We just get rid of the scraps, and we have our puff ball in a perfect circular form. So now grab your hat here, and we are going to grab our yarn needle. Okay, I never let go of these strands, and because I mean if you cut them it's going to be harder to sew this on to your hat. So I'm taking one of the strands and going into my hat, just yarning my needle, going into the very top of my hat on one side here where the top hole is, just on one side of that, and just pulling it to the other side, to the inside. Okay, then grabbing the other strand, yarning my needle with that, and going into the hat on the other side. So this one's right here, so I'm going to go opposite on this side of the hole and just going in. Okay, I'm just going to go through to the other side. I'm going to kind of turn this inside out so you can see all of the strands are now inside. These are the 2 from the hat that we fastened off, and then these 2 are the pom. So I'm going to take these 2 and tie them in a knot on the inside of the hat. Really tight. Like really super tight. Okay, and I'm going to do it 3 times. Okay. Then we're going to take these strands and sew them in around this circle at the top, just to hide those ends. Okay, so yarn your needle and then go underneath these strands, back and forth to hide that, and then cut any extra that you may have. Okay, I'm going to do that for these two as well off camera. So there is your pom. Awesome. Oh my gosh, that looks really cool. So again, you could just have your hat like this with no bow, but I want to put a bow on here, so I'm going to grab, look at how cool that is. I love the big giant pom, how cool. So now, you see how stretchy this hat is, how awesome. I love it. So I'm going to set this aside, grab this some more yarn, and I'm actually going to use a G hook just because the K hook, I feel like it could be a little too big for my bow. You can use a K hook and that's totally cool. It'll get this a similar design, but I kind of want tighter stitches. So again, this hook is from the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. This one is a G size hook, which is 4 millimeters. It's just smaller because this weight of this yarn is size 4 medium worsted weight, so it's a little bit thinner. So that's why I want to use a smaller hook. And I think that this actually, yeah, this is perfect for this yarn. So what we're going to do is start off with a slip knot. Yeah, you're trying to show them the G. It says G 4.25 boy hook. This is a boy where it's like in line like this. Like rounded, I guess, not so sharp. So anyways, you can get those hooks on the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. I'm making a slip knot right now. I've showed you how to do that earlier in this tutorial. And for this bow, I am going to chain 30. So yarn over and pull through. Now you can chain however many you want. That will be the whole, like if you put it in half, I'll actually show you. I'm going to chain really fast here. I showed you chaining 2 earlier, but yarn over and pull through. Just like this, and these are your chains. So you can make your bow as big or as small as you want. So let's say you want it this big, that's fine. It doesn't really matter how many stitches you do, just make sure you put it, fold this in half, and that is actually going to be the size of your bow. Okay, so this is not the size of your bow. Okay, fold it in half, and that's going to be the size of your bow. Just keep that in mind when you are making your chain. So I'm going to chain 30, and when I finish that, I will meet you up for row 1. Alright, so I ended up doing more chains just because when I did 30 chains, it was a little too small. I kind of want a bigger bow. So I ended up doing 48 chains, which is funny because 48 chains on this bow, there's 48 stitches on my hat when you start off. So kind of similar, but you can see the difference in the hook size and the yarn is that this is 48 chains on this hat, and this is 48 chains with a K hook. It's so much bigger. So you can see that the hook size and the yarn size definitely makes a difference in the sizing of a project. So anyways, going on to the next step, what I'm going to do is bring this beginning of this chain back to my hook without twisting anything. And I'm going to work in these back ridges here. You can see there's a back ridge, these back ridges. Okay, so I kind of, you can just see the chain like this, and then I turn it toward me, and you can see those back ridges on the back. Okay, so I'm going to go into this very first chain right here in that back ridge, and my working yarn is back here. We're going to single crochet along here, but we're going to be working in a continuous round very similar to the hat. Okay, so I mean not Tunisian stitch, just single crochets. So we're going to go in to this first stitch, yarn over, first chain, sorry, yarn over, pull through, okay, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And there's your single crochet, and this is attached as a ring. Okay, so now going into each chain and each back ridge, going into this next one, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. And just single crochet into each chain. Okay, so that's all you have to do for this round. I'm going to do that because it's going to take me a little bit of time. Usually the first round is always the hardest, the longest, the more tedious. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll meet you up at the end of this round. Alright, once you come around, this is what it should look like, just single crocheting in each of the chains. I'm going to stick a stitch marker or a piece of yarn just to mark my rounds. You don't have to do this since your little straggler is right here and you can see that that's the beginning of your round. But I'm just going to stick this stitch marker in here just to mark my round. And what we're going to do for this rest of this bow is single crochet into each stitch all the way around continuously for, I should have counted my rows here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 rounds. Okay, so we're just going to go into this first stitch right here. I know it's hard to see because my stitch marker. Right in here, going into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, next stitch, and just single crochet, and just work in a continuous round. That's it. That's super simple. We are going to do that, and then I'm going to do 15 rounds total. Okay, so I'm going to come back around, and this is round 2. Okay, so what I did round 1, I'm going on to round 2, and we do a total of 15 rounds. Once I have 15 rounds, just continuously single crocheting around, and this will gain length here. Once I have that done, I will come back on screen and I'll show you what to do next. I know it's not going to look like a bow, but we'll make it into a bow, and you'll see next how to do that. Alright, I just finished the 15 rows here. This is what your piece should look like. Okay, so now we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch right here. Go in, yarn over and pull through and through the loop on your hook. And then to fasten off, I'd chain 1. And if you are going to make your bow like this one, where I've wrapped the yarn many times in the center, cut your yarn very long. If you are not, if you're going to go on how I'm going to make this bow, cut your yarn semi-long for sewing. Okay, and pull it all the way through. So mine's about, I don't know, 12-15 inches. Okay, I'm going to remove the stitch marker there. And what we're going to do next, okay, so this bow that I'm making here is not going, it's not going to be like this one. If you want to make this one, all you have to do is go on this side, so make sure your beginning strand and the ending strand are on this opposite side in the center. Make sure it's centered. Flip it to this side, push it in the middle here, and then kind of fold it like this, so pinch it in the center so it kind of looks bow-like. Okay, make sure it's in the center. And then you want to take that long strand and just wrap and wrap and wrap and make sure it's tight. And that is how I kind of got how this one looks. I wrapped it about 20, maybe 30 times around. Okay, and then fastened it off and then sewed it to the hat. But that is not how I'm going to make this one. In fact, I'm going to make it similar how we poked it in the center of there and then kind of folded this down to make it look bow-like. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is take this short strand and kind of just go around, and then take this long strand and wrap it like 2 or 3 times. Okay, just like that. Make sure that's hidden in the back. Okay, just like 2 or 3 times. Okay, just to kind of secure it. And then you want to grab your yarn needle and yarn your needle with that long strand. We're going to use this for sewing to the hat. But I also want to crochet a piece that's going to go in the center of this bow. Okay, so I just went around that twice just to kind of secure it. Okay, so this is what our bow is going to so far look like. That looks like more like a bow, but I'm going to crochet a piece that goes in the middle here so it looks crocheted. Just a little extra detail. So I'm going to set that aside, grab the same hook, we're going to make a slip knot. Okay, same size G hook, and we're going to chain an amount that will wrap around that center of the bow. So I'm going to start out with 10 chains here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to grab the bow, see if it wraps around it. And it doesn't fully reach for me, so I'm going to do 15 here. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And you can even pull this up and remove your hook and just see. And that reaches. It almost might be too loose, so let's take out one chain. Okay, that's like 14 chains. It really does not matter how many chains you do, but just make sure that it wraps around there. Okay, so I have 14 chains, so that should wrap around there. So what I'm going to do is single crochet into the second chain from the hook and across the chain. Okay, so I'll probably end up only having like 13 stitches though, and this is the center of the bow. Okay, this is what I'm going to make. I know it might not make sense right now, but in the end it will, and you've seen the pictures already, so you know exactly what I'm making, the center of the bow here. So I'm going to make this piece a little thicker. I'll probably do 2 or 3 rows of single crochets. So let me get to the end here, and then I'll show you how to go on to row 2. And I mean, you can make this as thick as you want. So once you get to the end, we're gonna go on to the second row. I mean, you can test it out after this row. Just finish this row, pull up this loop, straighten this out, grab your bow, and see if that's gonna fit. You can kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to do here, but I want it to be a little bit thicker, so I'm gonna do another row. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work around, and just single crochet into each stitch. See? And that's it. And then chain 1, single crochet across. And you can do 2 or 3 or even 4 rows. It's totally up to you. I will let you know how many I do, and I'll be back in the next clip. Okay, so I ended up doing 3 rows total, and I felt like that was a good enough thickness here. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to cut this yarn a little longer for sewing, and then I'm going to pull it through that chain 1 there. Just fasten that off. And then what we're going to do is grab our bow, wrap this around the center, okay, and in the back here where you can see our fasten off here, we need this, whoopsie, we need this long strand for sewing. So grab this piece, wrap it around the center, okay, yarn your needle with the long strand, okay, and we're just going to sew this closed around the bow. And I'm just whip stitching this, just like that. Very simple. This is going to be behind the bow on the back side, so nobody is going to see this side at all. Okay, and then I can attach it to the bow so it doesn't slide or slip. And then I can tie this in a knot, so going underneath a loop or underneath a stitch there, keeping the loop on your finger, coming back through that loop, that creates a knot, and that is secure. And then you can just sew this end underneath a bunch of stitches in the back, because nobody will see this side. And then cut the extra. Okay, and then weave in this end as well. This was just our straggler end from the beginning. So I'm just going to hide that underneath our stitches. Okay, and then cut any extra. Alright, so now we have our bow. You can kind of shape it and stretch it how you want it to look. Oh, cute. Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, now that we have this bow, we want to attach it to our hat. Now you can decide your placement on the hat, if you want it low down here, if you're not going to roll up the brim. If you want to roll up the brim, Just make sure you have enough room to roll up the brim and then sew your bow up top here. Okay, I'm going to roll this down just a little bit. Add my bow right at the base there. Because I do want to roll up my brim a little bit, because I think the other side looks kind of cool, like very knit. It looks knit. But it's crochet, which is super awesome. And I'm going to put it off to the side here, so not right in the center, just off to the side. Make sure that your back little ridge there is right in the back. Okay. And I'm going to grab my yarn needle and the long strand that we cut. Okay. I'm going to go through everything to the back of the bow. Okay. And we're going to go onto the hat here. I'm going to put my hand inside of the hat so I don't sew the hat closed. And we're just going to go into the hat and just sew this on. Just go basically in and out of the bow. And I want to attach the bow all the way down to these sides. So these sides are all pinned down completely. Okay, so these ends don't curl or anything like that. So we got to make sure that everything is attached nicely. So I'm going to come out to this corner here. Pin that down, go to the other corner. And then go back in. Okay, then travel across to the other side. And then I'm just going to sew on the other side. So do that, sew your piece down, and then we'll come back and we'll be all done. Alright, I'm just finishing my last stitches here. We want to end kind of on the inside of the bow, so I'm going to go into one of these little petals here, or these little bow ties here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is kind of lay it out, make sure that it is looking good. So stretch it out, make sure it's pinned down. You can kind of pull this. Good. Okay, so once it looks good, you want to tie this off. So we're going to go into the inside here, and kind of like how I showed you to tie off that middle part of the bow, we're going to go in, keep our finger through that loop, come back through the loop, and then pull. And that creates a knot, and then you can just sew this end in just how you like it. Just hide that end. Just like that. I'm just hiding it inside the bow. And then you can cut the extra and stretch this out and make sure it looks good. And there you have it. The soft Hygge hat is complete. How beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And you can keep this down or you can roll this up. It's so fabulous. Thank you so much for watching and learning how to make this hat with me. Big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for this yarn. Big thank you to my dad back there for filming, editing this tutorial, and for the photos. Make sure you check out the blog post where it has the free written pattern and more photos of this hat. Make sure you sew in all your ends and shape it and enjoy your beanies. Oh, and also for different sizing, you can check out the notes section of the blog, and we'll have different sizes available in the written portion. So I hope you enjoy that as well. Until next time, happy hooking!